Hi, everybody. Ted Haggard here from St. James Church in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We have been enjoying the study of Matthew 25 over the last few weeks. And today I want to talk about the parable of the three servants. That's starting in Matthew 25:14. And this is a fascinating story because it talks about three men receiving talents. Now, talents, that's not a currency. It's not a coin or anything like that. It's a weight of things. All right. So a talent would be like what we would call a pound or something like that. And so the most common tool for money that they would weigh was silver during that day. And a talent was heavy. So a talent of silver was considerable. And some scholars say a talent of silver was equivalent to a year's wage for a worker. All right. Now think about that. Think about what you make, or think about the average income in your community. So this morning, I checked to see what the median household income was in America. Now, this is not per person. This is household income. All right. And I calculated off of that. The average or the median household income is $61,000. So roughly $60,000. Okay. So if you take that times and multiply it here when it says a talent of silver was worth about 15 years' wages. So you take the $60,000, multiply it by 15 years of wages, and you're just about to $1 million. And technically, it'd be $929,000. Okay, so just about $1 million. Okay, so he gave $5 million to one. He gave, let's see, what was it? It was 5 to one, 2 to another, and 1 to the other. Let's just read this. And so you can see how much money we're talking about. The kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by a story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. Now, I know we are in a generation right now that wants equity for people. Here's what that means. That does not mean equality, and that does not mean common outcome. Okay, because that's impossible. Chairman Mao tried it. Remember when he had all the Chinese people dressed exactly the same? And everybody had to live pretty much the same, except him, of course. And the idea that everybody is the same is naive. No two people are the same. We all have different cognitive abilities. We all have different communication abilities. We all are raised differently. No two people are raised the same, even in the same household. All the brothers and sisters in the same household have different brothers and sisters than anybody else. All right. So nobody is the same. Nobody has the same education. Nobody has the same abilities. Nobody is the same. Nobody has the same identical strength in different parts of their body. Okay, so we know that there are differences. So some people are extroverted and outgoing. Other people are reserved. Some people are task-oriented. Some people are relationship-oriented. There's just such a broad variety of the way people think and the way people respond. So here, this man gave the silver out, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. Then he left on his trip. The servant who received 5 bags of silver began to invest. Okay, now I want to highlight for you the difference between an entrepreneur and a manager. An entrepreneur takes risks. They build, they create, they develop, they are they use intuition. They're more aggressive. A manager maintains the status quo. All right. And Harvard did a study several years ago. And in that study, they wondered how businesses were handed down to the next generation, or how churches were handed down, all institutions. And here was the general trend. Wasn't universally true, but it was a general trend. Businesses, churches, companies, designs, innovation, creativity done by innovators. It's people that create things, and they get money and they take a risk for it. Elon Musk getting the money to lift a rocket off and land it on a barge in the ocean, so we could have repeat use of rockets the way we repeat use airplanes right now and cars. All right. So that was an innovation, and he risked billions of dollars to do that. And he did it successfully. And that's going to change the future. Okay. So people do that. And we've seen a lot of innovation in our lifetime from these entrepreneurs. So they can make their have their companies go public. All of us pitch in, we buy stock. Then if they're successful with their ideas, then that stock increases in value. I bought Tesla stock years ago, and it's increased 1,400%. Okay. And it's because I like Elon Musk. He's an entrepreneur. Okay. I did not buy stock in Sears because it's run by managers. They are not only plateaued, they're declining because they can't keep up with Sam Walton's business. I do own stock in Walmart. Okay. Because even though Sam Walton's dead now, Sam Walton's business is still selling more goods and services than some of the other companies combined. All right. So we invest in those. We give them more money in relationship to their ability. All right. So people are paid. Some people gripe about a CEO making too much money. Listen, CEOs are paid according to the responsibility they carry, not according to the fact that they work more hours than you do. Because if you do something lots of people can do, then that's different than you doing something fewer people can do. I assure you, a Lyft driver doesn't make near what a brain surgeon does. Okay, because lots of people can drive a car. Very few people can do brain surgery. And that brain surgeon does not make as much as a CEO that's managing 400 hospitals. Because that guy managing 400 guy or gal managing 400 hospitals is carrying a lot more weight and a lot more responsibility than even the brain surgeon. Okay, because that guy is having 40 or 50 surgeries go on at the same time, and he's got to make sure they're all right. Okay, so our system rewards people according to their abilities. Now, I know some people are arrogant and they say, well, I've got more ability than they pay me for. Well, you can tell what something's worth by what somebody else is willing to pay for it. Okay, so the shirt you're wearing, it's only worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it. Your house is only worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it. Your time is worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it. Okay, and if there's a lot of supply, it's worth less. If there's not so much supply, it's worth more. Okay, so here he said, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. Then he left on his trip. The servant who received the 5 bags of silver began to invest. Aha, there you go. What about investments? They're a risk. Okay, so right now I am sold. United Airlines just signed a contract to buy, I forget the number, 40 SSTs, something like that. The SSTs aren't even manufactured yet. They don't even have a model yet, but we know which companies is going to do it, and they've already bought some. As soon as I heard they signed that contract, I went and bought United stock. Why? Because we haven't had innovation in airlines in 40 years? We fly roughly 500 miles an hour. All right, on all these jets. Okay, an SST will fly 3 times the speed of sound. Okay, and United Airlines is the only airlines in the world that's already buying them, even though they're not manufactured yet or fully developed yet. See, so here he says, begin to invest the money and earned 5 more. So it multiplied. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid the master's money. Okay, here's what that means. That means he lived on it or just saved it in like a checking account or modern day savings account that doesn't pay anything. And he didn't multiply it at all. Okay, so God, the devil is here on the earth. We are Christians. We are members of a different kingdom. As members of this different kingdom, we are behind enemy lines here on the earth. The kingdom of God has not fully come here yet. Okay, so we are behind enemy lines. We are emissaries of the kingdom of God. The devil rules and reigns here in a significant way, as you can see by the suffering and pain that's here. We try to provide relief for that. We try to get little slices of heaven every opportunity we get. All right. I've been through experiences where I know people of another kingdom are attacking me. And I think that's perfectly normal because I'm of a different kingdom and I'm behind enemy lines. All right. So my communication system to headquarters is prayer. My handbook for battle is the Bible. All right. And so when God gives me the ability in the kingdom of God, I use it to multiply it against the devil's forces. But some people, Jesus is warning, just bury it. All right. And when they just bury it, here's what happens. Okay. Verse 19, after a long time, the master returned from his trip and called them to give account for how they used their talents, how they used their abilities, how they used their bags of silver. The servant to whom he entrusted 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest. I have earned 5 more. All right, so you see it there? The master was full of praise. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount. So now I will give you many more responsibilities to celebrate together. Let's celebrate together. The servant who had received 2 bags of silver came forward and said, Master, you gave me 2 bags of silver to invest. I have earned 2 more. The master said, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount. So now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. So listen to me. It doesn't matter what your skills are. It doesn't matter what your natural abilities are. Use it. It doesn't matter what your race is. Use it. If you're black, use it. If you're white, use it. If you're Hispanic, use it. Whatever. No matter what you have, use it. Okay? Then the servant with 1 bag of silver came and said, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops where you didn't plant and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. Okay, here's what this sounds like. Listen, things are tough in America. It's hard to earn a living. Things are so expensive. I can't tithe. I can't invest. I'm just trying to make it through. And I'm going to join. I need a union or I need something to try to make more money because, boy, things are harsh. Well, things are harsh. The world is a confrontational place, but you're children of the kingdom of God. Come on. Use your kingdom authority and live like you're designed to live. Here he says, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops where you didn't plant. You know, these evil people, they have all that money. These wicked people, and the systems are corrupt. Government's corrupt. The bureaucrats are corrupt. Oh, if you only knew. I have a website that I go to get my information, and I'm telling you, everybody's lying to us. Oh, yeah, you're going to live a great life. Here it says, harvesting crops you didn't plant, gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. You know where I put my money? I put it under the mattress in the back room of my double wide. Okay. You know what that money is going to do under the mattress in the back bedroom of your double wide? It's going to get stolen by the drug addict next door. That's what's going to happen to it. Come on, everybody. This is a strong exhortation. It says, I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here's your money back. But the master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So for those of you that like to criticize, for those of you that like to judge, for those of you that like to be bitter and believe that you've got an inside track and how the Illuminati's ruling the world or whatever it is, the track that you're on, you are headed toward being called a wicked, lazy servant. In 2006, I was accused, and they accused me of things I've never even dreamed of. But then it became my national reputation. So I decided to use it. So before I was a successful minister, at a well-respected evangelical leader. Now I'm the chiefest of sinners. I use it. So when I meet people or things like that, I just say, hey, Jesus died on the cross for a reason, and I am it. And I have no hesitation using whatever is dished out to me. Okay, so here he says, you wicked, lazy servant. If you knew I harvested crops I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit my money at least in the bank and you could get some interest? Then he ordered, now follow this, everybody. Take the money from this servant and give it to the one with 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they have been given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. So when I was pastoring 14,000 people, as faithfully as I could, I served them. Right now, I'm pastoring about 50 people. As faithfully as I can, I will serve them. I don't judge how many bags of silver I get. I just want to use it to the maximum. See, but from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away. Now throw this useless servant into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, well, gee whiz. Okay, I'm sorry I went a little bit long today, but this is a really hard message for people to get. But it's a biblical principle. It's true. Every one of us have to work with it. That's enough for this week. Hey, God bless you. Bye-bye.